And so indeed it is, my dear ones. And so, I hardly ever know anymore what's going to happen once I come out on these steps, even though I prepare something. But this is what came to mind this morning, and it's just a little sharing from an unknown book, at least unknown to me. And I you know how it is, we're always looking for an experience, wanting an experience of the divine. And that's why we go through all the various and sundry spiritual practices, so that we can have an experience of the divine. But not the divine out there, up there, over there, not low here or low there, as Jesus said, but right within ourselves where the kingdom of essence is. And I dare say we will be seeking until we've had that experience sufficiently to assure us that it's always with us. So I think it's time in our lives for all of us to stop thinking of ourselves as seekers and start being open to being finders, discoverers, reconnectors to what's already within us. And somebody wrote a little poem here, and it says, "Show me thy face." And it reminded me of a song that we used to sing in high school a long time ago. It was, "Show your face to me, Lord, show your face to me. I need to see your face, Lord, I need to see." And it went on like that. And this reminded me of it. I'm only going to read one verse, there's two. "Show me your face, I shall forget the weary days of yore. The fretting thoughts of vain regret shall hurt my soul no more. All doubts and fears for future years in quiet trust subside, and naught but blessed content and calm within my breast reside." It's kind of what Augustine was talking about when he said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts cannot find rest until they rest in thee." It's what everybody's been looking for, in one way or another, except the sages were really committed, absolutely, stunningly, awesomely committed to finding what they were looking for. And it came to them in different and sundry ways, and it came to some of them out of great sorrow and great illnesses and sadness and all kinds of stuff. And it came to others like a Rumi with great joy and celebration and awe and wonder and delight. I'd rather go the Rumi way myself. But it'll be our path, whatever our path is. Whatever our path is. To make of ourselves not a tavern, but the tabernacle of the Most High. So, that fell into place along with this little piece here from an unknown writer. And it's called Symptoms and Causes. If you have made many efforts, as you probably have, to set things right, but without real success, the reason is to be found just here. Now, you and I effort all the time. You and I go to all kinds of extents to realize something. But as the teaching tells us, if you and I are struggling and efforting all the time, we're not going about it the right way. It's not necessary to struggle and effort. He says, if that's the case, you have been absolutely tampering with symptoms and leaving your mind. So you and I play in the field of conditions and symptoms. And as we do that, and the more we do that, we've left our conscious minds. We're playing in a field of obstacles and difficulties, and it's not going to do us one bit of good, quite the opposite. Now, how long will we have to do that? As long as we have to do that. That's as long as we'll have to do that, until we don't have to do it anymore. And we're here because we don't want to do it anymore. The real cause of the trouble, untouched, is mindlessness. You have been wrestling with circumstances, with people, and with things, and leaving your mind unchanged. Unchanged is the word. You bring the same unchanged mind to all the trials and tribulations and circumstances and situations, and expecting a different result. And that's impossible. Mind rules. And it is just that mind of yours that is causing all the trouble all the time, and will continue to do so as long as it remains in its present unchanged state. Does that ring a bell? Rings a bell with me. What's your first thought when you have a challenge before you? Where do you go to first? That's a rhetorical question. What's your usual response? You're going along, la-di-da-da-da-da-da, it's fine. And then something happens and you go, it's like a thud to the solar plexus. Now, what do you do with that and where do you go? What's your first response? Is it an ouch? Is it, oh my God, I hope this is not going to happen? Oh, I hope this is nothing bad. Or do you say, well, now, isn't this interesting? I was having a lovely day and all was going well, and now all of a sudden, here's this. Wasn't expecting it, but I'm not going to let it in. And whatever it is, it's visited me for some good reason, so I'll play with it. But I'm going to tell it. You're not the boss of me, and you can't have your way with me. And you work with it. You don't resist it, because what you resist strongly persists. You just take charge of yourself, which is not as easy as it sounds. You go straight to your mind and watch what's going on. Now, it's not always going to be easy to do that, and especially when we're in the bad habit of not doing that. So I would recommend that you get yourself a really strong and good responsive affirmation that you can go to directly. One of mine is this one life, that life is God life, that life is whole life, that life is perfect, that life is healthy, that life is all life, and that life is my life now. You sing it like a song, so that nothing else can get into your mind except what you're saying. You have to come up with ways for yourself to do what Caesar does with the dogs when he goes, tst. When Caesar does that, he's changing up their psychology and taking their mind off of eating what's in front of it, the other little dog or whatever. You and I must have it handy so that we knock our consciousness into the right focus, the direct focus, the affirmative focus, yes? Now, we can all do that. And you may think it's funny, and you may want to laugh, and you may want to giggle, and so on. Let me tell you, don't do anything until you've tried it out. Or even sometimes you could just say to yourself, tss. That's even quicker. It really is. But come up with ways to distract yourself from going negative, ballistically negative, is what we all have to do. And we need to do it like that. If you don't catch it in that first, you're kind of pulled into it. Don't even let your mind have the first even thought. Because as soon as the mind has the first little thought, your feeling is going to follow up, and it's going to be worse than the thought you're having. You're going to feel worse than the thought. Hardly breathe. So you say, well, now, isn't this interesting? Wasn't expecting it. Don't particularly like it. Rather not have to handle it. But here we are. And you roll up your sleeves and you say, bring it on. And then you step out of the way and you let God be God by means of you. Now, what in heaven's name does that mean? Well, that means you remind yourself of all the things that God is, and then you own them. And even at times, I have to tell you, I'll say, listen, whether you believe it or not, whether you feel it or not, whether you think it or not, the truth is, right where you are, God is, and God can handle it. You don't even have to believe it or feel it or think it in that way. Just say the truth, state the truth, and be one with the truth, and be one with the words you're saying. Something takes over. Because underneath that is your faith in the principle of the creative process in your life. Trust the creative process in your life no matter what. As Ernest Holmes says in the very, very first page of his textbook, it would be absolutely unthinkable to imagine that God would create us and put us here without the means of us being able to take care of ourselves. We have the means. But remember, the mind is a sponge and it's very impressionable. And what we're born into, the environment we're born into, is going to absolutely affect the mind. We come in powerfully strong. But depending upon what we find ourselves in, will depend on whether we stay strong or not and what we come in with. But it's okay, because it doesn't matter what you came in with. You can't say, well, he has an advantage, she has an advantage. She came into a really great environment. He came into a phenomenal family, and so on. And therefore, it's no wonder the way I am the way I am. You chose to come into that environment, believe it or not. All the world's a stage, and all of us are its players, and all of us have different parts to play in the great, great, great pageantry of this thing called life. And on the other side of life, you and I agreed to our circumstances that we were going to come into. Oh, yes, we did. It's the only thing that makes sense if God is the God that we understand God to be, and if we have the free will that we do have. So yes, we pick the family members. Yes. Now you might say, well, I've picked my father, but I didn't pick my mother. No, you picked we all agreed to be this family structure so that we could work on whatever it was we were coming in to work on, and so that we could advance, so that we could enrich what we'd already discovered about ourselves, and move out of what we felt was still a little bit deficient. You can believe it or you can believe it not, but it's the best thing that I have heard as an explanation with regard to why we are all the way we are. Because have you ever gone back to a family gathering and looked at the family and said, who are these strangers? Who are these people? Can't believe I was a family member. And you say was, you see. Especially if you're way, 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 way far away from home. Now, I'm not saying I said that about my family. I didn't. But I know I have friends who have said that. And I have felt estranged from the family in the sense that, well, this is where they all are just now, in the beliefs that they have. And I'm certainly not going to interfere with any of that. But my beliefs are no longer those beliefs, especially in religion. Although, again, I'm very, very fortunate in the family I'm in. But if you take the average Irish family that I grew up alongside of, I had it so much better than most because of the parents I had. But that doesn't mean that my parents were perfect. There's always a chance to mend and fix something. But they were so much more than many of my friends had. I often felt for my friends. In fact, I used to bring some little orphan Annies home. My mother was the usual go-to person. She might put a bandage on their wounded knee or something like that or whatever and so forth. But I can tell you this about my mother, she never gave advice, and she never said, poor unfortunate you. It's only now I realize how great my mom was and how blessed I was to have a mom like that, and my dad was great too. But you see, the point here today is, what in heaven's name is going on in your mind? Because it's ruling your life. Every negative thing you're thinking is hiding all your amazing brilliance and grace and glory. It's like you're putting a shield over it all and you can't even see it. And that's why, especially those people who think very badly of themselves, they really have shielded themselves from their light. What the mind ponders on, is fascinated by, is caught up in, happens. Good, bad, or indifferent. You have been struggling to transform yourself by renewing your conditions, whereas the law is that we are transformed by the renewing of our minds. While we're struggling with all of the conditions in the outer world and struggling in our minds, there is no renewal. Never mind renewal, there's no even steady support. So I'm saying to me, and I'm saying to you, whatever is going wrong or not right in your life is because of the way we're thinking. And that way that we are thinking is causing us to feel in a certain way. Put the feelings with the thinking and you get the behaviors. And then people judge us, not by the truth of us, but by our behaviors. You judge yourself not by your truth, but by your behaviors, your thoughts, and your feelings. Science of Mind 101. And it's never, ever, ever not worth a revisit. And sometimes it strikes you as being brand new again. Physician, heal thyself, the great one said, Jesus said. He would not have said that if you couldn't heal yourself. So all he's saying is heal your mind and you'll heal everything. Heal your mind, your emotions will follow. And then all the circumstances in your life changes. But the question is, do you want to be healed? Now, Jesus asked that question a lot of some of the people he healed. Do you believe I can do this for you? He would say. Yes, Master. Then go. Your faith has made you whole. Your faith has made you whole. Your thinking has made you whole. Your thinking has made you. That's your faith. As I think it, so it is. As I feel it, so it is. As I state it, so it is. Listen. Oh, for heaven's sakes, let us listen to each other and hear the kind of ideation that comes through our minds. All the judgments, all the condemnations, all the you-know-what's-it coming out of a pure center of brilliant light, or could be. What could come out of that pure center? It's not coming out of that pure center of light. Now, why is it we're running around judging and condemning and watching and suspecting things and people and so on? Because we're afraid. There's something in us that's afraid. There's something in us it's fear always triggers these things. We're afraid somebody might be having a better time than we are, having more than we are, enjoying more than we are thought of more than we are, might get ahead of us, for God's sakes. Might be better liked, might be more included. Silly little things. And I've listened to this over the years, not only from myself, but from listening to other people in the counseling chair, confessional box. And it's so sad, because the bloom that is beauteous and ready to blossom into many, 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 many aspects of itself never gets to do it. It just remains the bloom, ready to burst forth into expanded life. Now, where would you say you are right now with regard to the seedling that you were in the beginning? Rhetorical questions always. They're personal questions. Where are you in your blooming and in your blossoming? If you were to draw a picture, and if you were brilliant at drawing, a picture of the bloom that you are, how would it be? What would it look like? What would it evoke in somebody looking at it? What kind of energy would it exude? Might be worth doing it at home with your, go back to kindergarten and draw a picture. You never know. Now, all of us have the seed of a glorious and brilliant life within us. And we were given that seed to take care of. And some of us will do like the people in the parables that Jesus told. Some of us will take the seed and make it expand even more. And some of us will be absolutely stunning in what they succeed in having that seed do, and some of us will hold it and keep it close to us and do nothing with it because we don't want anything to happen to it. Where are you in all of that? Where am I in all of that? We have to ask ourselves. And the thing is, at different times we'll be in different places with it. At different times we'll see the seed all crunched up, hanging on to the life that is within it for dear life, so to speak. At other times we look at it and it'll be this beautiful thing. And all the stages in between. But you have the ability, and I have the ability, to have this thing, absolutely a vortex of energy all of the time, through the way we're thinking and through the way we're feeling. Can you believe that? Nothing good nor bad, but thinking makes it so, said the great bard himself, Shakespeare. Well, if there is nothing good nor bad, if thinking makes it so, why is it that we're thinking on the bad side of life so much? And we have proof of that. in the way our life goes. Wouldn't you give anything to be free of all kinds of mind dissonance, which would clear out all emotional dissonance, and experience that, so that you would never again be bothered by any person, place, or thing? You would just see it as the great pageantry of life that it is, all players on a stage, each playing its own part. But I don't have to make that part my part. I don't have to recognize myself in that part. I don't have to become like that part. Do you think that's possible? Well, of course it's possible, or we wouldn't be given the opportunity. However, there is the training, so to speak. There is the taking care of how to be in this state. Upkeep. And it's constant and it's continuous, and you and I have to participate in the upkeep of this amazing vortex of energy that each one of us is. Now, only you will know what that looks like for you. It's different for us all. But oh my, how you and I can allow other people to whip us up into a storm of emotions, whip us up into a sense of self-doubt, into a sense of not being enough. And that only happens because we've already done that to ourselves. No one can do unto me what I haven't already done unto myself, as far as depreciating myself. Because you have to give your consent for that. Even Eleanor Roosevelt said that. Don't agree with what other people say about you. You have to give your consent for that to happen. So ponder today all the things you've consented to that really and truly are not you, or that you certainly don't want to be you. And yes, the world will judge you left, right, and center, up and down the yin-yang. People will tell people about you what they know about you. She's a this and he's a that and so on. They will do it. Let them do it. That's what Mother Teresa would say. Let them do it. And love them anyway. That's what she would say. And if you're bothered by it, it means that you're insecure in yourself and you're not sure about yourself. Because you know the truth about yourself. We are missing out on so many wonderful opportunities in our lives. It doesn't bear thinking about. To be the light that we are in our own life and in the life of others. And instead of throwing shade or shadow on others, we could throw the light just as easily. And when we get into the habit of that, it's more easily done than shading people. And if we're shading someone, it's because we're in the shade ourselves. It's what we know. We can only give what we know. If somebody becomes a threat to us in some way, or a rival in some way, or a competitor in some way, it's because we've allowed ourselves to become insecure in some way. We don't think we're enough. And yet, it's what everyone forgets. You're a unique, individualized expression of spirit, which means you're one of a kind. And nobody can surpass you. Because you're one of a kind. You're a gem of a kind. You're a treasure of a kind. That's one kind. When did you last think about yourself in that way? Because if you ever thought of yourself in that way for any considerable few minutes in time, you would be changed forever. But you see, we're always told that we have to keep improving and improving and improving and improving and improving and improving and improving. Yes, affirmation. The light fixture fell out. Remind us all that we allow our light fixtures to fall out all the time. And we're not looking at the light, we're looking at the fixture. How am I going to fix it? Don't you love when that happens? Love when that happens. So I just want to leave you with the sense of yourself today, before you leave this room, that you were incredibly, uniquely, carefully designed and chosen to be exactly yourself as spirit in human form. And once you were created as spirit in human form, spirit enters into you and remains in you, never leaves you. That which spirit creates, it enters into, the teaching says. In the rocks, in the rivers, in the mountains, in all of creation, there is that spark of the divine for those who have eyes to see and hearts that can discern, and a mind that's willing to see more than the mind wants us to see. So you're all quite perfectly done, completed, and finished. You were the moment you came into being. Don't undo yourself. Don't keep undoing yourself. Keep knowing yourself as that which you are. A unique, one-of-a-kind, individualized expression of the one life, the one light, the one love. And no one else, no thing else can ever take your place or be you. And if you don't show up as your one life, your one light, your one power, your one beauty, your one grace, all of life is diminished as a result. It's missing something. And the something it's missing is you and your radiance. And if you want to heal yourself of anything, find your radiance, and it will heal. And not only will it heal you, but it will go forward out into the world as a healing balm. Wherever you show up, the radiance will be felt just by you being present. Just by being present. And you're not going to know that for certain sure until you be it. And why are we postponing? We spend our lives postponing. We spend our lives waiting. And yet we're told the kingdom of heaven is within us, and there are no waiting rooms in the kingdom of heaven, as you often hear me say. You're either in heaven or you're not in heaven. There's no waiting room. There's no go-between room. There's no in-between stage. You're in it or not. Same with hell. You're in it or not. And as you all know now, even the Pope has stated that, it was John the 23rd actually said, there is no hell. It's a state. It's not a place. Heaven is the same. So the thing for you today is to go out there and celebrate yourself and rejoice in knowing that I have what it takes. I've always had what it takes to be all that I can be. And the glory of it is, I don't get to do this on my own. I just have to relax, get out of the way, and let Spirit, by means of me, show up as itself. That's all. And I get to be in the midst of all of that. I'm just a container and a vehicle on planet Earth for Spirit to be able to show up and be itself, as indeed those great mystics before us knew. Let God, they said, be God by means of me. And everybody needs a God in their lives every single day, and you might be the one. And when people look at you and they say, you are my angel today, that's what they're saying. You were God for me today. And isn't it beautiful how you feel when somebody says to you, you are my angel today? And it happens in all the weird and most wonderful places and people. I say it to others too when that is the case. So that's all you and I have to do or be in order to take care of any condition, any ailment, any situation or anything, is to show up every day and be someone's angel. Let God be God by means of you. Heaven's angel. We hear songs about earth angels, but you're heaven's angels. That angelic energy is the power and the presence of Spirit within you. So the next time you're getting down on yourself, and God knows no one gets down on us more strongly than we do get down on ourselves, stop it. And just know, doesn't matter what I'm thinking, doesn't matter what I'm feeling, doesn't matter what everything seems to be, God dwells in me as me. And I call upon that power and I call upon that presence. And I say, God be God by means of me, no matter what. These are little things you learn to say to yourself, to remind yourself, to assure yourself, to calm yourself like a mother would a child. You remind them, they're Spirit's lullabies. So make sure you're listening to them. And the words will come to you as you're open to them. And you'll get your mantras and you'll get your whatever and so on. And they'll be especially for you. Does everybody agree? Yes. Good. Well, then let's say it together. This is what I know right now. I am in the presence. And the presence is in me. And the presence flows through me magnificently. That's my truth. No matter what. And it's always my truth. And it never changes. God by means of me is on the move. Upward. Forward. Onward. And so it is. You're going to have a great day, and so am I. I've declared it, and so have you. And now we have an opportunity to bless this life and this world by realizing that we're very grateful to have enough, knowing that that enoughness is always plenty when I know that the enoughness is always plenty. And I have it to share from. And I delight in sharing from. So I take my gift between my blessing hands and I say, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. All those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. Does anyone have a question or a comment? This would be the time. Yes.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I've been studying science of mind for maybe 35 years or so, and I thought I think I'm using it, but then I had some big challenges recently, and I thought, what is my prayer? What do I? I'm thinking, okay, the God Spirit within me knows the right thing to do and how to do it, and I'm going to let go and let God. And as Martha Tobel always told me, says, God, you do it. And I let go, and everything just turned out beautifully.
Absolutely. As the children say at the end of their prayer, over and out. And once you release it, this is the thing, we don't know how to release. We do not, in every which way, we don't know how to release. But certainly in prayer, we're not knowing how to release. And so when we say at the end of our prayer, and I relax and I release and I let go, you're supposed to relax. You're supposed to let it go. Get on about your business and forget about it. Because you've just given it to the power within you, the only power that knows how to take care of this business. So don't take it back as soon as you've given it. And begin again to say, but for that to happen, this must happen over there, and this has to happen over there, and he must come in with that over there, and she must come in there, and it would have to be a Monday, and it would have to be sun shining, and it would have to. Oh, we're dreadful the way we outline things and tell God how to do God's business. We're terrible at it. Yes, dear.
Something along those lines that happened to me a couple days ago, which I think the universe is so clever in how the messages come. I was upset about certain things being challenged, and all of a sudden I had two commercial flashes. The first one was the Honda commercial, where it was like, it's my job to be helpful, coming from that place. And then it was the Staples commercial hitting it, that was easy. So as long as I am open in that sense of being an instrument, that it's my job to be helpful every moment that I possibly can. And I hit the easy button because it's not me doing it, it's Spirit through me. And so it was kind of this cute little motto that I came up with, where it's my job to be helpful, and that was easy.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because really that's how it happens. It comes to us in all kinds of ways. Commercials are great for that. And other little things, and adverts, and something, a poster you'll see. God comes and visits in many, many, many ways. And it's like you get it. It's like the da-da-da-da-dum-bum. You get it, But that's lovely, sharing that. Yeah. And I have two of those buttons that people gave me over time. That was easy button. And you have to have it, that was easy button. Or this is easy button. This is easy button. And then just renew yourself in knowing that I of myself do nothing. It is the power and the presence of Spirit within me that does the work, as Jesus did. He always pointed that out. Don't call me good master. No one's good but God alone, etc. And, I of myself do nothing. It's the power and the presence of Spirit within me that do the work. That was his go-to. So have faith in yourself. That's all that is lacking. Faith in yourself. There's no other self than you. There's no Savior coming. There's no power outside yourself can do it. You have to pull that up from within yourself. It's a self-help service. It's a do-it-yourself service. But all of us are like what we do when we get things from IKEA. We put them together every old which way, and we still have a piece missing or an extra piece or whatever. And you're well able to do this yourself, or you wouldn't be here. You signed up for it. You said, yes, I can do that. I'll go. Now get up, get going, get out of here, and be all that you are. And stop doubting yourself, and stop being a misery guts, or whatever it is that hits us at times. And no, you know what? That's simply That's simply the staging of things. You wake up and you remember, oh gosh, yeah, all the world's a stage and I'm a player. No, I don't want to play that part. You can change plates. That's the beautiful thing about the stage of your life. You can change the characters all the time. You can change the part you're playing all of the time. Because why? Because you're the writer of the play. You're the designer of the sets. You are the producer and the director of it all. So you can do anything you want to do with that play that's going on. So sometimes you look at yourself and say, no, I'll not have it. That's not it. Delete. Are you ready to get up and get out there and go about the business of this day, knowing that God is with you, going with you, in you, through you, and as you, and say to yourself, well, if I really believed I was God, what would I be saying now? What would my response be now? What would I be doing now? How would I handle this now? It's like, if I were a rich man, say, if I were a God man, a God woman, you'd have a fabulous time. All day long, you'd be blissing yourself out of it and everybody else around you. So never take my word or anybody else's word or a book's word for it. You have to test it out, try it out for yourself and come up with your own way of individualizing your understanding of knowing I am that I am, and that I am is God in expression and form. La, 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 la. You know the piece from Popular in Wicked? She's always going around and doing her thing. She's always happy. She's always in a bubble. We need to get like that. Honestly, people take religion far too seriously, and it's far too important to be taking seriously. It's fun, it's joy, it's meant to be bright and light and uplifting, and it's meant to be good and very good. And if it's not that, then you and I are not doing it right. La, la. I just see her floating around the stage now. Anyway, up, out, and at it, because you can. You got it. You have it. Now go out and flaunt it.